that way. So let me suggest contacting directbuyers.com. They'll buy the house without any of that hassle. No commission, no buyer walking through. You don't have to paint, repair. You don't have to do any of that. You can still live like a slob and sell your house for a fair price. And that's Direct Buyers. This is exactly what they do. They'll give you an honest, no obligation offer. They'll even get you $15,000 cash advance before closing, and they'll never lowball you. That is so important. Go to directbuyers.com, directbuyers.com. Call 844-242-SELL, directbuyers.com.
Checking your KFI financial report, the Dow is down 68, S&P down 5, NASDAQ down 93, and the average price of a gallon of unleaded gas in California is $5.86. Your Socal weather from KFI. Looks like we've got a sunny day ahead. Temperatures upper 60s to upper 70s. By tomorrow, we'll make highs in the low 80s, and possibly by the end of the week, we could even see some low 90s. Right now, it is 59 in Woodland Hills, 57 in Irvine. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. We're heading to the 405.
Just one more warning, if you will, to the northbound 405 going through West LA, north of the Santa Monica Freeway, Santa Monica Boulevard. That's still probably some right shoulder activity, but a fairly good drive, really, into the San Fernando Valley. Now, back to the good old 101, the Hollywood Freeway coming out of the Cahuenga Pass. It's slow from a little bit before Vermont to the 4 level, but I've got to caution you, Hollywood Boulevard now is shut down to the outskirts. That's Highland through Orange. It'll be Highland to La Brea when they get closer to it. So it's a fun night, that's for sure, but it's not fun for driving. Now, in a little while, the Highland off-ramp, it'll start jamming up. It'll back up onto the South 101. Don't use Highland. Just continue. Use Cahuenga, Vine, Sunset, any of those will get the job done for you. Now, we're just looking at a problem over by the Rose Bowl, the tunnel, if you will, that takes you from the South 210 through the tunnel to the East 210. Right in the middle of that tunnel, left lane is blocked. And the right lanes of the freeway is backing up around the Rose Bowl. Once you get going on the East 210, there's another problem at Lake. Just be careful. It's over to the shoulder. After that, a pretty good drive to the 605. Jeff Ball, KFI in the sky.
Brought to you by Life Source Water. Taste and feel the difference.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. When the prospect of divorce becomes a reality, you need a partner that you can count on. If you're a man in this situation, consider contacting Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men navigate complex legal matters for 30 years.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's California attorneys. 1455 Frazee Road, Suite 500, San Diego, California, 92108. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
There is a lot of information out there about COVID-19 and kids, so it's important to share the facts, not the virus. While COVID-19 vaccines are new, the science behind them is based on decades of research. Clinical studies have confirmed they are safe and effective at protecting kids and the whole family. Share the facts, not the virus. Talk to your child's doctor or visit myturn.ca.gov to find a vaccine near you. Brought to you by the California Department.
Don't miss Classic Albums Live perform Led Zeppelin 2. Note for note, cut for cut. Tickets at mamaradatheater.com.
KFI.
More stimulating talk.
An iHeart radio station.
KFI AM 640. Bill Handel here on a Monday morning, March 21. And some of the big stories, unfortunately, more horrible stories coming out of Ukraine. Russia's military bombed an art school sheltering 400 people in Mariupol, which is the city that's getting nailed the most. And a China Eastern Boeing 737, 132 people on board, crashed in Guangxi, southern province. No word yet on numbers of dead and injured, but well, you have to assume that everybody did not survive. But you never know. You know, we get these stories of people walking out of those things, or at least being taken out of those crashes. All right, back we go to the story of Ukraine and Russia. We really have no choice but to talk about it because it is the big international story in the last several weeks, and will probably continue to be so. All right, so what I want to do is talk about another front a front that's just as important as the military front. And that is propaganda, truth, and dissemination of information. That has become a major fight around the world whenever a country is positioning itself vis-a-vis, let's say, an enemy country or the West or the East. And so weeks before Russia invaded Ukraine, Russian officials denied it had planned anything of the sort. Remember that Joe Biden said, it's going to happen, we're looking any day, it's going to happen. Russia kept on saying, no, these are simply military exercises. I mean, really through the morning of the invasion. And so Russia was denouncing the U.S., NATO allies for stoking panic and anti-Russian hatred. And look what happened. A war started, but it wasn't us. Russia denied that it was a war as the invasion started. And then, since then, what have we gotten? A bunch of lies. The war is a special military operation. Why it had to wage the war. Drug-addled neo-Nazis. That's one of the better ones. Genocide. We know about that. American biological weapons factories. And there is a little bit of truth to that. There are some testing labs in Ukraine. So it's easy to expand that story. Birds and reptiles trained to carry pathogens into Russia. Believable? Really? Ukrainian forces bombing their own cities. We're not bombing those civilian targets. That's not us. That's Ukrainians doing it to themselves for whatever the hell reason. I mean, it's just, well, it's false flag. That's the reason. So now, disinformation in wartime has been around forever. But it has reached whole new levels, well, because of social media, digital diplomacy, which is going on right now. And so what it does is give Russia and China and allies a means to prop up the claim that the invasion is justified, exploiting disinformation for its citizens at home, and the truth has simply become another front. Now, it hasn't worked internationally. I mean, no one around the world is buying that Ukraine is bombing its own buildings, its own hospitals, schools, residential apartments. No. Russia, it works. Now, if you look at the polls in Russia, they're buying it. They're buying it. And this is akin to Nazi Germany, where Joseph Goebbels basically invented propaganda. And he was the minister of propaganda. I mean, can you imagine today you have a ministry called a propaganda ministry? It wasn't a pejorative back then. And today it might as well call it a ministry of lies. And so it's propping up the claim that the invasion is justified, and everything the West says is a lie, and everything we say is the truth. Increasing falsehood. There's basically an alternative reality here, where Russia is not at war with Ukraine. Russia is at war with the West that is trying to destroy Russia, and Ukraine is merely a point of which this is happening. And if you look as the war has started and continue on, the lies have just gotten more bizarre. I mean, things from that true sovereignty for Ukraine is possible only under Russia. That's the only way you can become a free country is under our protection. And I guess if Russia declares Ukraine doesn't exist anymore, that's freedom for the people. I would certainly buy into that if I heard that, or buy into their position, wouldn't you? So the majority of Russians, and these are polls that have been taken, the Russians support the war effort. I mean, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? So these lies about bioweapons labs or these crisis actors, all of it is fake, and it's much like what happens at some of the mass shootings here. particularly at the schools. Oh, no. You look at QAnon. Those were actors that were there. No one really died. Those are fake death certificates. That's effectively what's going on. And it happens instantaneously. Russia comes out with a lie. And then the West comes out with an alternative story, saying that debunks the lie. Russia comes back with a lie, another lie. So I want to go get a little bit more into this coming up, because I think this is a topic that we really have to understand as this war continues, because the war is so much bigger than the war on the ground. It's about credibility, about belief, it's about propaganda, it's about the internet, all of which has just changed everything. Here's Jennifer Jones-Lee in the live KFI 24-hour newsroom.
Nearly a quarter of Ukraine's population is displaced nearly a month after the Russian invasion started. The United Nations reports 10 million Ukrainians have been displaced either inside or outside the country. It was another violent weekend in Chicago. Police in Chicago say between Friday and Sunday, 21 people were shot, 5 of them fatally. And the syndicated daytime TV show Maury is coming to an end. It was hosted by Maury Povich and will end production this season. The series will air original content through September's and just reruns after that. Your Socal Weather from KFI we'll get to in just a second, and we'll also take a look at your drive on the 605. In fact, let's choose from the HMS Capital Weather Center. Sunny today with highs in the upper 60s to the upper 70s. This report is brought to you by Driveway.com. Let's go to the 605.
That's a great big driveway, that's for sure. Still in pretty good shape now. It's a good report here for morning traffic. Southbound 605 coming away from the 210 all the way down to the I-5 and the 105. Usual stuff there. It's just getting slow around Washington. That's about it. Hopefully it'll stay that way. I think you should be happy with that. Northbound slow going to the northbound 5, but that's kind of a given there. It's a tough transition. Other than that, not too bad. But I do want to warn you, we were over this just a few minutes ago around the Rose Bowl, going south 210, if you will. Now stay with me. Going through that tunnel that leads you to the east 210. Right in the middle of the tunnel, the left lane was blocked. That's why everything is all stacked up there. Once you get past that, though, a pretty good drive out to the 605. Jeff Barr, KFI in the sky.
Car shortages? What car shortage? Head to Driveway.com today to shop more than 25,000 new and used cars in Driveway's nationwide inventory. Driveway.com. That's Driveway.com.
This report is sponsored by Cal Recycle. Californians are recycling smarter to help save our planet. Empty your recycling and let it dry to make sure it gets recycled. For more tips on proper recycling, visit iRecycleSmart.com. Do your part. Recycle smart.
Hey, it's Jennifer. Join us this March to Make March Matter for Children's Hospital Los Angeles. Make March Matter makes amazing things happen for sick kids. It's a month-long event that takes place right in your neighborhood. So every time you shop, dine, or attend an event at a participating partner, they'll donate funds to support Children's Hospital Los Angeles. It feels so good to give, and saving lives is everyone's business. For more information, visit MakeMarchMatter.org. That's MakeMarchMatter.org.
Wondering when's the best time to get your real ID? How about right now? Starting May 3rd, 2023, you'll need a federally accepted form of identification, like a real ID, to fly within the United States and visit military bases. And it's easier than ever to get one. Get your real ID by starting the application online, uploading the correct documents, and making your appointment at the DMV to finish the process. There's no need to wait. Beat the rush. Visit realid.dmv.ca.gov today.
The Power of the Dog is a cinematic powder keg, a film for the ages. Winner of the Director's Guild Award for Best Director Jane Campion. Winner of the BAFTA Award for the year's Best Film. Winner of 4 Critics' Choice Awards. Best Adapted Screenplay, Cinematography, Best Director, and Best Picture. And now, it's the year's most Oscar-nominated movie. Nominated for 12 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. The Power of the Dog. In select theaters and on Netflix. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without an adult.
Hey all, it's Dean Sharp. Are you looking to sell your home in 2022? Well, congratulations. That's a big deal. For most of us, it's the biggest deal of all. So let's make sure you get everything out of it that you can. Before you get ready to list, make sure you call the good folks at Revive. Revive's business is to maximize your home sale value. How? By guiding you through market-critical upgrades before you sell. It's like flipping your own home, except Revive fronts the cost and guarantees the result. Yeah, you heard me right. No money out of pocket and a higher selling price guaranteed. You can list higher and sell faster in just a few short weeks. In fact, the average homeowner sees $160,000 in additional profit. This is a no-brainer. Revive has created an easy, stress-free way to maximize your greatest asset, your home. So are you thinking about selling? Well, you can settle or you can see what's possible. To get started, visit iloverevive.com. That's iloverevive.com.
Owen Patterson and Owen has recovered over $10 billion for accident victims. Injury cases require lawyers with expertise and experience who can get results. I'm Susan Owen, managing partner at Owen Patterson and Owen. We are a firm that knows what we're doing. Carefully consider the reputation and winning track record before you choose who to trust. If you've been injured, call Owen Patterson and Owen 888-OPO-WIN. And we do. 888-OPO-WINS or go to OPOlaw.com.
I've been doing that this week. What are you doing? I bought a month's supply of food for each one of us in the house. I bought... You? It sounds like you're in a different body right now. You know, I hope I look back on this as being panicked. John and Ken, weekdays at 2. You know, it's fascinating, actually. I really got into read about this. Death. I don't think I want to even bother. On KFI.
KFI AM 640. Bill Handel here. On a Monday morning, March 21. Stories that are trending that we are covering. Of course, what's going on in Ukraine. The continuous and continual bombardment of Ukraine, particularly the city of Mariupol, which Russia, for some reason, sees intent on just wiping it out. Literally removing that city from the face of the earth. Wow. And then today, the hearing starts for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, and I'm going to talk more about that because now Supreme Court hearings have gone into a totally different direction, and this is part of it, and I think we should look at that pretty carefully. Back we go to the other front in the Russia-Ukrainian war, and the front is literally a front of truth, lies or not, and that's being played out all over the world. Now, while the United States and Europe are not going to be putting boots on the ground, there's not going to be a no-fly zone over Ukraine, there is an active war going on between those countries and Russia, and this is the war of propaganda, of disinformation, of lies, of debunking who believes who. And so here's a basic tenet that I think underlines the entire sort of thinking behind the war in Russia. This has not just happened now. It didn't just happen in 2014 when Crimea was annexed and there was a war there of which the world did nothing. I mean, it's not as if the invasion of Ukraine has at least put the world on notice and a lot of help is being brought in. Nothing during Crimea. All right, what happens with the supporters of this disinformation in Russia, which is most people, they cling to the idea that there's just something basically wrong with Ukraine, even though they really can't put their thumbs on it, and Russia is the only country that can fix the problem. And the lies are extreme. Remember the picture of that pregnant woman on the stretcher that was being brought out of the hospital, the maternity hospital that had been bombed? Right after that came out, the Russian accounts claim that that pregnant woman had faked her injuries, that it was all a fake. Remind you of Sandy Hook? That's just the way it goes. Now, this was posted I mean, these posts accusing the fake, accusing the creation of injuries, none of which existed, according to Russia. And those were put up on Twitter and Facebook, which immediately removed the posts, or eventually removed the posts. But gruesome photographs of people that were dying in apartment buildings that were bombed and hospitals, they were put on by Russia. I mean, you think, why would they promote their own atrocities? Because across the face of those photos was the word faked. That's what Russia did. And then the big one that really gained some traction is a campaign that is years in the making in Russia. The United States was manufacturing biological weapons in Ukraine. And there is a little truth to that, in that testing facilities and research does happen in Ukraine with the American government. That happens, and then do you believe what the U.S. government says? That we're not creating biological weapons? Well, there was a Twitter post by War Clandestine, that's an account that has that hashtag, and until it was suspended, it outright peddled QAnon conspiracy theories, which was immediately picked up by Russia. And early this month, the Russian Defense Ministry said it uncovered traces of a military biological program in Ukraine financed by the U.S. Defense Ministry. And guess who promoted that one in the United States? Tucker Carlson said that's true, dismissing the explanation from the U.S. government that these were diagnostic and biodefense laboratories and used for research. And he said outright, whether you call them weapons or not, completely irrelevant. That doesn't matter, is completely irrelevant, because they can be used as weapons. And the politics of this, and this is the scary part. So Tucker Carlson is backing up the Russian claim that the United States has these biological weapons in Ukraine, developing biological weapons, and then, training reptiles and birds to carry this stuff into Russia. I mean, just crazy stuff. Why? Why would an American conservative talk show host or personality deal with that? Because it's the Joe Biden administration. And if it happens under Joe Biden's, if it happens under his administration, then anything Russia says negatively about us has to be true, because it's Biden. And that is so scary. That is so malicious. In the meantime, we certainly don't have what Russia has, and that is the ability to simply shut down any anti-Russian claims on the internet. But I want to point something out. This is been going on, forever. It's just now, because of the war, Russia is truly clamping down, even to the point where Putin was able to get past the Russian, the Duma, their parliament, their Congress, the law that says any fake news, which means anything anti-Russian, is 15 years in jail for whatever publication or news media says it is, if Russia's accused of wrongdoing. Calling the war a war, as opposed to a special military operation. Just saying it is a war, boom, you can get up to 15 years in jail. So you know what ends up happening? Those media outlets that were independent shut down immediately. Twitter and Facebook, etc., Instagram, not allowed in Russia at all, except Russia uses those tools to manufacture its propaganda. Now, this literally has been going on for years. You think it just happened with Ukraine. No. This propaganda plays into the suspicion of West and NATO. The West and NATO has been vilified on state TV for years, embedded into the distrust of the West among Russians. And the scary part is that Russian media, the Russian propagandists, have latched on to the beliefs advanced by QAnon. And so now you've got folks who believe in what QAnon says, and do they then believe, do the QAnon supporters believe that that Russia's philosophy, Russia's statements are true? I mean, that's just starting to pan out. So it's effectively, according to a researcher from the Institute for Strategic Defense, says they just throw stuff out and see what works. It's that simple. And it's that scary. Now, the good news is Russia's losing this one all over the world. Ukraine does the same thing. They diminish the losses, exaggerate the wins, but far less so than what Russia does. And as far as the West is concerned, we inherently want to believe everything Ukraine says and nothing that Russia says. Well, because Ukraine didn't have a ministry of propaganda. Ukraine hasn't used the internet as a propaganda tool for its military actions, which have never happened, for its fight against Russia, not particularly. It's Russia. Coming up, the hearings today, Ketanji Brown Jackson. I'll share that information with you. Let's check in with Jennifer Jones-Lee in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
Ukraine's President Zelensky says there is a parallel between what Russia has done to Ukraine and what the Nazis did to the Jews during the Second World War. He made the comparison as he reached out in a video speech to the Israeli parliament for help in fighting the Russian invasion. Zelensky, who is Jewish, says a Russian missile struck a spot in Kyiv where over 30,000 Jews were killed in 1941 by the Nazis. It serves as Ukraine's main Holocaust memorial. News is brought to you by Applied General Agency. The LAPD says it's offering a $1,000 reward to anyone who can help catch the driver of a Tesla responsible for a stunt that ended in a crash. The driver of the rented Tesla sped over a hill in a neighborhood in Echo Park Sunday morning. A neighbor saw it happen.
That was wild to watch, for sure. Too much.
The driver crashed into a pair of parked cars. He got out and jumped into a waiting Tesla and then left the wreckage behind. Grocery workers will start to vote on whether to allow their union to call a strike. Results are expected by March 27. The negotiations between union leaders and owners of Ralph's, Pavilions, Albertsons, and Vaughn's will continue. Police say one man was killed and 24 people were hurt in a shooting at a car show in Arkansas. At least 6 of the people hurt yesterday evening were kids. One suspect has been detained by the cops. And advocates will speak up for the 3.4 million Americans with epilepsy as Purple Day approaches next Monday. Sarah Carlson is an advocate patient and former TV news anchor who had a seizure while on air. A video of it went viral, and even though it ended her TV career, she wants people to take a look.
Because I want people to understand that epilepsy comes in so many different forms. I sounded like I was speaking gibberish. I didn't fall over and convulse.
Carlson found a drug to keep her seizure-free and build a new life.
I don't want the experience to be a stigma. I want the experience to be a reality.
There's more information at epilepsy.org. I've got more info on your drive on the 710 right after Sports with Wayne.
The Dodgers and Cubs ended yesterday's spring training game in a 2-2 tie. Meanwhile, former Dodger closer Kenley Jansen has decided to move to the Atlanta Braves. That's the team he grew up watching and rooting for. LA faces the White Sox today at 1:05 live on AM 570 LA Sports, your home for Dodger baseball. The Angels beat the Seattle Mariners 7-3. Today, the Halos play the Royals at 1:10. I'm Wayne Resnick, KFI Sports.
Socal Weather from KFI. It's a mostly sunny day today. Highs will be in the upper 60s to the upper 70s. Then as the week goes on, it'll get a little bit warmer and temperatures will rise into the low to mid 80s by tomorrow. We could even see a couple of lower 90s, that is, by the end of the week. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. We're checking the 710.
Busy place, that's for sure. However, it's a pretty good report coming up from the Queen Mary now all the way up towards East LA and the I-5 and all that stuff. It's slow, yes, but moving along. You're going to be okay. Southbound fares better, really, from the I-5 down to Long Beach Harbor. It's doing pretty well, really. A little slow through the major interchanges. Now, again, in case this got by you, warning, the Oscars are coming up, and for that, Hollywood Boulevard's been shut down now. Shut down now from Highland to Orange. It'll be to La Brea when it gets closer to party time, that's for sure. But that Highland off-ramp, it gets real busy now. I'm looking at it right now. It's not backed up onto the Hollywood Freeway yet, but if you leave home around the 8 o'clock hour, if you're still at home now, it could get busy. I wouldn't use Highland. Just continue to use Cahuenga, Vine, Gower, any of those. That'll get the job done for you. East LA Interchange was doing okay. It's always a busy spot, that's for sure. Especially off the West 60 to West 10 is kind of slow. Then the West 10 is slow out through about Robertson, but that's kind of normal stuff. All lanes are open. East on South, there's a whole lot better. Jeff KFI in the sky.
I've got some friends who are selling a house, and I didn't want to be disrespectful, but they were doing all kinds of work on that place, trimming trees and painting and going through and repairing boards. And I said, you know, I don't want to be disrespectful, but you're kind of old school. You should sell your home the new fashioned way, people. It's called opendoor.com. You could skip all the hassles and hurdles of listings and showings. And with the Open Door, you don't have to make those repairs yourself or do any prep. All you do is just sit your butt down in a chair. Go to opendoor.com, answer some really simple questions about your house. Open Door takes the information, compares it to homes in the neighborhood. When I did it, it took just a few minutes to get a real competitive offer for my house. So sell your home the new fashioned way at opendoor.com/KFI. Offer eligibility varies. Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage Inc., license number 020-61130 in California, and Open Door Brokerage LLC in its other markets. Sell your home the new fashioned way at opendoor.com.